and he has the size, the athleticism, everything that scouts salivate over. And he has the potential. It all comes back to that word, potential. It's a dirty word. The only thing potential means in sports, the only thing that means is you're not there yet. A lot of people think he will go in the first round. Does he deserve to be a first round quarterback? After what we saw? No.
He does not.
But does that really matter to teams that need a quarterback? No. I gotta do the intro first. I can't just start talking.
You're good, bro.
Welcome back to Sports Done Right. I'm your host, Hunter Wright, and joining me today, friend of mine, friend of the channel, Gideon Ajagbe. Welcome back. This is your third time on the channel. It's great to have you. We mentioned Richardson, and he will be leaving for the NFL draft this year. I am against it. I am very much against it. I wish him the best, obviously. I wish him the best. I hope everything works out. I hope he finds himself in a favorable spot in the NFL, and he has a chance to showcase what he can do. I think it is a bad idea for the sole reason, and the biggest reason, what we talked about earlier. You're throwing rocket balls on bubble screens. You are way too raw. Because it's not just that. That's the biggest example. But Richardson, he overthrows guys a lot. He throws the ball so hard it bounces off people's hands. He'll hold on to the ball too long. He doesn't know if he wants to run it or not. He needs more fine-tuning. He needs more seasoning. He is not done marinating. And we've seen many times what happens to highly touted college quarterbacks when they go into the NFL too soon. Guys that aren't ready, guys like a Tommy Maddox, or I'm trying to think of someone that came into the league really young off the top of my head. But I know Tommy Maddox came into the league really young, and it did not work. It did not work out for him.
I agree a lot with your sentiments on that. I really believe the same things. He needs more time. He needs to fine tune his every part of the game. Long game, mid range, short passes. He needs to learn to read defenses. He needs to overcome the emotional, psychological issues that happen when you make mistakes, big mistakes, small mistakes. He needs to weather those storms and figure out how to become a whole quarterback that's seasoned, experienced,
the best version of himself.
Walking into that situation.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, I fully understand why he's going into the NFL now when he is.
Well, based on what you showed me, if he is projected number 9 to go off the board, I understand why somebody would say, well, I know he knows he didn't have the best season. If he's being honest with himself, and if he looks back in those games and he saw,
hook him up to a lie detector test, and he'll tell you, yeah, no, look, there were times I stunk it up,
and I'm happy that he's there, and he seems like a very genuine guy. I know, right?
Yeah.
But he seems like a very genuine guy. Like he ain't putting on airs. But if somebody's coming to me and say, "Hey, man, your draft papers came back and you're going to be in the top 10," I personally, I'm going to be honest with you, I would leave. I did not know
that. That's why. That's why.
If you're a fly on the wall in my home, in my wife's family's home, my in-laws, you would hear me say, "Man, he's going second, third, fourth round because of his performance this year." But like me and you talked about, they're looking at the upside. They're looking at the potential of him being a huge draw, him developing people.
It's potential. Potential
is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So
potential is a dirty word. I'll touch on that. You were saying,
Yeah,
I'll circle back to that.
oh, you'll circle. I'm just saying, if I was in this, based on what we talked about a couple days ago, if that is what the mock draft is saying, bruh, I would go to.
Yes.
I'm just being real. If it was
I
a
get it.
second, third round, and
I can't blame him at all.
I cannot blame him. So I was under the impression, based off his performance this year, he would not be a high draft pick. But based off of him being a top 10 draft pick,
He didn't play like a high draft pick.
did not play like a high draft pick. So based on what is being said about him and where he's going to go, I completely understand why, if he heard that at the end of the season, why he would say, I'm done and I'm going to the NFL. I would do the same thing. I'm going on record on saying it. I would do the same thing.
Yep.
So I get it. I get it. But I do wish he was able to fine tune himself, have 1 or 2 more seasons of being the star,
Put your best foot forward going
put your
into
best foot forward. Know that you have learned how to play the game of football as a quarterback, leading the team.
Plus, with your college career, you really want to go out on that note?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, if he never plays another snap of college football again, which he won't,
He won't.
At the end of the day, what are we saying about Anthony Richardson, the college quarterback? Regardless of how things go for him in the NFL, what are we saying about his collegiate career? It was a disappointment. That's what will be said. That is going to be the label. That will be how he's remembered as a Gator. It's unfortunate. It's not entirely fair, but fact of the matter is.
But I will say this: if he goes out and he has a stellar 10-year career as a quarterback, all those things will be forgiven. It will just be a sour taste in the mouth of Florida fans saying, "I wish he was able to do
like,
that."
well, yeah, things didn't work out here, but he had it in him.
Yes,
he was a late bloomer,
and I hope that's the case. I hope he has a stellar 10-year career. He has no drop off. He goes and he balls out wherever he goes. That's my hope. If that happens,
but here's the thing, because this is a man, and I get why he's leaving. This is a kid. He's younger than me. I gotta call him a kid. Oh God, I'm old now. This is a kid that was projected. He was in the Heisman. Some people had him in the Heisman watch. A kid that a lot of people thought had an outside chance of winning the Heisman Trophy. And he had a very up and down year. He showed a lot of growing pains. We talked about some, but he showed so much potential too. Like when he broke a big play, he broke a big play. He showed, hey, I can throw it 80 yards or I could run it 80 yards. And he has the size, the athleticism, everything that scouts salivate over. And he has the potential. And it all comes back to that word, potential. It's a dirty word. And this is why it's a dirty word. The only thing potential means in sports, the only thing that means is you're not there yet. Potential means we think you can be here, but you're not there yet. They just think that you can get there. Because when you talk about potential, you're not talking about what someone is. You're talking about what they could be. Because if you were talking about what they are, you wouldn't be using the word potential.
You're saying.
And after the season that he had, yes, it was disappointing given all the hype he was one of the most hyped up quarterbacks in all of college football. And what the product he put forth on the field was a letdown from what the expectations were. But he just had so much of that P word that scouts want him. They're like, yeah, the things that need fixing, we can probably fix that. Look at all this upside. Look at what he could be in the right situation. So his draft stock is as high as it's going to get. That's why he's leaving college football now. That's why he's leaving the University of Florida. His draft stock is as high as it's going to get. It's not going to get any higher. Everyone's saying he could be a first round quarterback. A lot of people think he will go in the first round. Does he deserve to be a first round quarterback? After what we saw? No.
No, he does
but,
not.
Well, but does that really matter to teams that need a quarterback? No, they'll say we like, we'll take the flip of the coin. Is he going to be what we think he can be, or is what we saw at Florida the extent of what he can do? They're willing to take that chance. They're willing to take that gamble, and they will take that quarterback. Teams always jump the gun when it comes to quarterbacks.
They will leave.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on them.
No. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
No.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that.
But they will always take. They will take and even with those guys. One thing, I'm not going to go on a tangent. I'm just saying. I'm glad you mentioned those. Red flags were there as far as one of the biggest problems with Russell, with Leaf, was off the field stuff, mental stuff, character, maturity, work ethic, this, that. Red flags were there, but teams overlooked it because they fell in love with what those players could be. Same thing with Richardson. It's not Richardson's character. He's a stand-up guy. It's on the field struggles, but teams will overlook it. Same way they overlooked Ryan Leaf's maturity. Same reason they overlooked Jamarcus Russell's work ethic. They will overlook Richardson's on-field struggles because of his potential and what he could be if he is able to put it all together. And that is why they will spend a first-round draft pick on him. And I think he could go in the top 10, possibly to the Raiders, because Bryce Young will be gone, CJ Stroud will be gone, Will Levis will be gone. The Raiders are burning bridges with Derek Carr. They're going to end up forcing him out if they don't sign a big name quarterback in free agency. Then I think that they will draft Anthony Richardson, and it sounds like the kind of thing that the Raiders would do because the Raiders love guys with physical measurables, speedy receivers, strong linemen, a kicker that can kick it 90 yards. That's an exaggeration, obviously. Yeah. But the Raiders, historically, they love a guy with physical measurables, and that's what Richardson has. So I could see them taking Richardson if things don't work out with Derek Carr and they don't make a splash in free agency. I could see them reaching and taking him 9th overall. And what does he have to gain by coming back to college? Proving that he was the guy we thought he was? Because let's look at this honestly here. His draft stock, like I said, it's as high as it's going to get. He can only hurt himself from here, possibly by hurting himself. Look at Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He had a great final season at Tennessee. By all accounts, he should be a high pick. He will probably be a mid-round pick because he got injured. That is the risk that AR-15 would be running if he runs it back. So I fully understand why he doesn't want to take that risk. It's like I've got my draft status, my draft stock, my hype, my faith in myself and everything else, and I've got my health. He has nothing to gain necessarily from a business standpoint.